Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, the show that takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible.
Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Hello, everybody. How is it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Happy Monday. Happy new start to the week. It's exciting. I love Mondays, particularly because I love being able to just have a fresh start and a fresh opportunity to create anything that I want. I know I probably say that a lot, but I just love Mondays. They're exciting. I'm one of those annoying people that likes Mondays. So happy Monday. I hope you're ready to create anything that you want this week. It is a new opportunity, a fresh start, and it's just exciting. So I am back with more information to share with you to help you live your life to the fullest and happiest. I hope you have been feeling positive and good. I know there's been so much going on in our world, and I haven't kind of brought it up in a little bit, but there has been so much going on, and I just want to say I hope everyone is staying safe and positive and feeling good and spreading kindness every chance you get, and just taking care of yourself during these times, because these times are scary and there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of chaos and craziness. And so I just hope that you're staying sane and safe and taking care of yourself, because that's what's most important. So today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about fear and facing our fears. I'm going to go into some tips and tricks, of course, to face our fears. Just like your typical fear, whether you're scared of a spider or heights or moving to a new city or getting a new job or jumping out of an airplane, whatever it is, I'll give you some tips on how to face those fears. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into kind of facing your fear of being in a new chapter in your life, kind of being at a point where, you are moving forward, you're moving on. I've talked a lot about trying to let go and trying to find that new chapter in your life and creating those opportunities for yourself. Well, now let's say that you are here, you are about to enter a new chapter in your life, new exciting things are going to be happening. How do you handle that anxiety and that fear? Because we all get scared in that situation. It is so natural to be scared when you're entering a different chapter in your life, especially when it is completely different than the last chapter. So if you have some big changes going on in your life, you have some big things happening, I think this episode is going to be super beneficial for you, just to try to face those fears and go after what you want and just take on that new chapter with full force. But fear is inevitable. It's going to happen. And the thing is we can't let fear drive us. And when fear drives us, it's controlling us, right? Because we are just living in fear and we're usually staying inside of our comfort zones. And remember, nothing beautiful in life happens inside of your comfort zone. You have to go outside of your comfort zone to experience the best things of life. But obviously going outside your comfort zone is uncomfortable. That is why it's outside of your comfort zone. But we need to be able to push ourselves out of those limits so that we can experience great things and create great things for ourselves and live that happy and full life. And fear is the number one thing that holds us back. It's the fear that we have within ourselves that, maybe the fear of failure, the fear of change, the fear of not being good enough, just the fear of trying something new, or maybe being in a new environment, surrounding yourself around new people. Like all that stuff is really, really scary, especially when you are jumping into just this whole new chapter of your life. So I'm going to talk a lot about that today. I'm going to hopefully motivate you and excite you to enter that next chapter of your life, and hopefully you'll feel like you have a little bit more of a grasp on controlling your anxieties and your worries when it comes to entering this new chapter in your life and facing that fear. But first, of course, let's talk about just facing your fears in general. Like I said, whether you're entering a new chapter, whether you're starting a new job, you're moving cities, you're going skydiving, you're holding your friend's pet snake, like whatever the case is, facing your fears can be very, very difficult. It is not a simple thing to do. Especially for someone, if you are someone who has extreme anxiety already, facing those fears comes even, more difficult, and it's just scary. It's just scary. No one likes to, if you're afraid of heights, no one wants to go climb to the very top of a building and look down. Like, we just don't want to do it. And it makes sense, but, sometimes when we do face our fears, we get to experience new and cool things, and you might experience something that changes your life that you would have no idea, right? And so facing your fears is so important, and it's just about being brave and going after those things. And I think it's about going after them for the right reason. It's like, do you want to jump out of an airplane because you just want to jump out of an airplane? Or do you want to jump out of an airplane because of that exciting feeling, the adrenaline rush that, for me, it's like, I want to jump out of an airplane because, like, it's the adrenaline rush. It is like the butterflies I would get in my stomach. It would be the scariest thing for me to do. Will I do it one day? 100% yes, I will. It might take me a while, but I will do it. That is one fear that I want to face. And, I want to face it because I just think I've wanted to do it since I was young, and I just think it would be just a cool experience, just to see the world from that view, literally falling in the sky. I would love to get that perspective, which is interesting. But we all want to face our fears for different reasons, especially if you're starting a new job or you're moving around, or, that can be really, really scary, especially if you move somewhere new or you're starting something that's like a new job, that's a huge part of your life, that involves meeting new people, that involves, you have to give a good first impression. You have to, present yourself properly again, and you have to, you have to get to know people, and people have to get to know you, and that's really scary sometimes, right? Because especially when we're so used in our comfort zones and in our environments and in our workplace, we get so comfortable. Everyone knows us and we know them, and it's just, you can kind of just do your thing. But fear is good. Fear is exciting. Naturally, we try to avoid the things that we are afraid of. Like, if you are afraid of heights, you're probably going to avoid jumping out of an airplane or climbing to the top of a building. But avoidance prevents us from experiencing some of the amazing things and also learning from the things that we fear. We are scared of these things for a reason. There are probably a lot of valid reasons why you're scared of jumping out of an airplane or heights or whatever it is. But, we're scared of those, and this doesn't mean that we can't learn from those things. We will learn from those things. So we can gain a lot of knowledge from facing our fears. So the biggest thing when it comes to facing your fears, it's all about exposure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the process of exposure that you can do with facing your fears. Basically, this just means gradually and repeatedly going into feared situations until you feel less anxious about it. Now, this is where, think about it. When you're scared of something, it's because you're not confident in it, right? I'm not confident of jumping out of an airplane. I've never done that before. That is terrifying. I've never experienced that. I've never had that perspective. I've never done it. So I'm not confident in my capabilities of jumping out of an airplane. The thing with confidence is that it only comes with experience. And this is something that I have learned this year quite prominently, because I've always been searching for ways to be more confident and to go after things and just to face my fears and just go in full force. But you need confidence to be able to do that. And I thought, there was an answer. I could read a book, or I could listen to a podcast, or I could just figure out some type of, someone could just tell me how to be more confident. And unfortunately, that's not how it works. Confidence comes with experience. And so if you want to be confident within yourself or whatever that you're facing, you have to do it over and over and over again. You have to experience it. And you have to keep experiencing it. Think of like the first time that you walked into your new job. And the first day you're scared, you're anxious, your palms are sweating. Okay, it's a nerve-wracking situation. And then the next day, it's a little bit better. And the third day and the fourth day gets a little bit better. And then you're at the 100th day and you're like, wow, this isn't so bad at all. right? Because it's all about experience. Experience is everything when it comes to our fears and gaining more confidence and just going after the things that we want. So starting with situations that are less scary, you can work your way up to facing things that cause you a great deal of anxiety. So this is kind of your exposure. So you're slowly exposing yourself to little things that you are scared of and then working yourself up. So over time, you build up the confidence in these situations, and you actually might come to enjoy them, like jumping out of an airplane. Maybe you're just going to end up being like a skydiving instructor after you do it because you just love it so much. Who knows? So this process often happens quite naturally. Usually when a person is afraid of water, like you take swimming lessons every week, and it practices, putting your feet in the water, and you start to tread a little bit. Maybe you start on the shallow end, and then you kind of move over, and, it's just like you slowly kind of naturally face that fear of water. So this same process occurs when people try to, learn to ride a bike or skate or drive a car or jump out of an airplane. Maybe you'll go bungee jumping first. It's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same concept, right? That's my first step if I'm going to go skydiving. I'm definitely going to go bungee jumping first. But basically, you may have tried to expose yourself in the past, and you might find that it didn't work. But you may have tried to face something that was too scary too quickly. If exposure works when you do it gradually, if you just kind of jump in full force sometimes, some people can jump in full force and just face your fear and get it over with, and all hail to you. Like, that is awesome. There is nothing wrong with that. I wish we could all do that. Just jump in full force and face our fear and be done with it. But 9 times out of 10, if we do that and we just go full force into it, we scare ourselves even more because we just did something that's too frightening, too anxious. It's just not good for us, right? And so maybe that will kind of throw us off. It's like, oh no, I did it once, I'm never doing that again. Instead of, like, if you're trying to learn to swim, dipping your toes in the water, maybe going up to your waist, hanging out in the shallow end, that kind of stuff, right? Just like the example with swimming, you kind of dip your toes in the water, maybe you go up to your waist, you hang out in the shallow end for a bit, you always have your floaties on or a life jacket. It's like a slow process to doing that. Whereas if you just jumped right into the deep end, might not work out so well. So gradual is the key. You got to do it gradually and repeatedly. So you may have tried to expose yourself in the past and just found that it didn't work because you did that. So try to gradually let yourself in. Maybe you also just didn't have the chance to practice it repeatedly. So you did it once and you're like, oh, that kind of scared me. Don't really want to do it again. And then you weren't really able to do it again because you weren't given the opportunity, or you didn't push yourself to do it again. But if it is done correctly, exposure can be very, very effective in overcoming your fears. You just have to be willing to try it again. You have to be willing to just gradually ease yourself into it. So let me go through kind of the 4 main steps of exposure. Number 1 is just making a list of all the situations, the places, or the objects that you fear. Anything that you fear, write it down. Especially if you're really just trying to face a bunch of your fears and kind of push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Make a list. Group your fears together as well. Keep it kind of organized. Maybe you have some activity fears. Maybe you have some insects or, bugs and things that you fear, animals, and then you have, certain things, and you can split it up, especially if you have a lot of fears. I highly suggest splitting up your list into categories, into groups. It might make it easier to just tackle those things. You can go by group. So whatever you kind of want to tackle, if you have multiple things, I would definitely suggest putting it in groups. Now, the second tip is just building your fear ladder. So once you've made your list, you just arrange these things from the least scary to the most scary. You can just do this by rating how much you fear that situation or whatever that thing is. So of course a 0 would be no fear and a 10 would be extreme fear. So you can just kind of rate yourself of how scared you are of those things. And then once you've rated each situation or object or whatever it is, then you kind of use the fear ladder to form a final list. So you go through each step and what you will need to do to achieve that goal. So it's not just writing down your fear and seeing it and like, okay, I'm going to tackle that. That's on my to-do list. No, try to write yourself out the step-by-step process of how you're going to achieve that. So let's say it is you're afraid of swimming. Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dip my toes in. I'm going to go up to my waist. And that's, step 1. Dip my toes in, take my time, then I'll go into my waist. Step 2, maybe I'll try to, go into the shallow end a little bit, maybe put my head under the water. Whatever the case is, just go step by step of how you're going to achieve it, because these tiny little step by steps, it's just going to be way less overwhelming for you, and you're going to look at them as, oh yeah, I can accomplish that. Okay, I can accomplish that. I can accomplish that. And you're celebrating all those small victories until you achieve your big victory of facing your fear, overcoming that fear. Okay, it's time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. That was only step number 2 of how to expose yourself to your fears. So when we get back, I will go through step 3 and step 4, and then we will jump in about how to face your fears of entering a new chapter into your life. This exposure technique can also work, of course, into entering the new chapter of your life, but I have lots of specific tips for that. So don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America's Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness podcast. Okay, we are talking about facing our fears, and we're talking about the exposure technique to facing your fears. So number 1 was make the list of all your fears, and you can put them in categories and however many fears you have, try to keep them organized and put them in categories, just group them together. The next tip, of course, is building your fear ladder. So rank all the things that you're afraid of from 0 to 10, from not really that scared at all to extreme fear. And then you're going to write down each step by step of how you're going to achieve that thing. This is breaking it down so you can celebrate all those small victories and it's less overwhelming to overcome that fear. So make small goals that you can just achieve and you just work your way up. And then each ladder should also include a whole range of different situations. So the ladder should include some steps that you can do now, which is like a little mild anxiety, some that you can do now with moderate anxiety, and then finally the steps that you find too difficult to do now, that'll be later on in the future. So this is all going to be, that's why you got to write down every single step of how you're going to achieve it. It just breaks it down a lot easier for you. It's less overwhelming. It can be difficult to come up with the steps sometimes too on your fear ladder. It's like, well, I'm scared of it. How am I supposed to know to achieve it? And I get that. That can be really hard. But just think to yourself, try to do some self-reflection and think, okay, what is a step that is towards this goal that's very low anxiety that I feel like I could achieve right now in this moment? And then you do that. And then think of the next, okay, what's going to scare me a little bit more? And then write that down and do that. And it's just kind of, you have to break it down for yourself. You're the only person that can really write down your gradual steps and figure it out for you because you have to go at your own pace. So just consider all the factors too that might make it easier or harder for you to do it. So think of like length of time, the time of day, your environment, who is with you. Maybe you have like a little luck charm that you want to keep beside you. Maybe you want to do it with your significant others. You have a person, some support around you. Let those factors weigh in too to all of your steps. It can make it a lot easier when you have a little support system. So then, of course, the step number 3 is the exposure. You do just have to expose yourself to it. You do just have to go after it and start doing those tiny little steps. And you have to keep doing it over and over and over and over again. If you end up going skydiving once and you want to keep doing it, you found that you loved it and you want to become confident in skydiving, well then you're going to have to do it over and over and over again. Or if you want to go swimming, you're going to have to do it over and over and over again to gain that type of confidence in yourself that you can do it at any time. So expose yourself to it. Expose yourself to all your small steps. steps and just practice over and over. Remember that confidence is all about experience. So also make sure that you're tracking your progress. Definitely, keep tabs on yourself, write things down, hold yourself accountable, keep track of how well you're doing. Celebrate all the small victories because that is super important. And then the last step, or the last thing I want to mention with exposure, is don't be ashamed of having a reward system for a while. I think this is a great step, when we're scared of doing something like, okay, I went swimming today for 10 minutes in the lake, and maybe you're terrified of lake water. Give yourself, okay, now I get to have a piece of cake tonight. I don't know, whatever the case is. Don't be ashamed of having a reward system for yourself, because that will push you to do it. And you don't always have to have the reward system. It's just for a little bit to get yourself there. There is nothing wrong with rewarding yourself for doing something that you are terrified of. So don't be ashamed of doing that at all. So that was the exposure technique that you can that's like the main technique, I guess, that people say is to facing your fears and going after those things. So just gradually and repeatedly expose yourself to your fears. But that's kind of hard to do when it comes to, entering a new chapter into your life. You can sort of gradually kind of maybe expose yourself to a new chapter in your life if that's how it's going to work. But more times than not, we are just getting placed into a whole new era of our lives. We're like, okay, I am moving cities, I'm getting a new job, or I'm doing, whatever the case is, it's kind of usually a big turn. So I found this quote that I quite love, and it says, stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start getting excited about what could go right. That was Tony Robbins. And I love this quote because I just think it is so true. We focus so hard on the things that could go wrong in this next chapter in our life. Okay, I'm entering a new job. What could go wrong? Well, I could hate it. My boss could hate me. He could be mean. My coworkers could hate me. I could hate my coworkers. I could not be good at it. I can be confident, whatever. There's so many things that we go through in our head. Okay, this could go wrong, and this could go wrong, and this could go wrong. And it just pushes all the positive things away, and we just focus on all the negative things because we're scared of that situation. And it's natural to say these things, the negative things in your head, and not say the positive things because you're living in fear in the moment. You're scared. Of course you're thinking all these negative things of what could go wrong. But we have to change our mindset and start focusing on the things that could go right. And that's, I think, the most exciting thing about entering a new chapter is that you don't know. And I used to be really scared not knowing my next step. And now it's exciting because it really just means anything is possible. There are so many opportunities in life. There's so many great things that can come. And even though it is terrifying and it is so uncertain and unknown and I have no idea what's really going to happen, I'm still trying to focus on the exciting things of what could happen. And when you focus on the exciting things of what could happen and you send out that positive energy, well, like I always say, send out positive energy, you're going to receive positive energy. So set yourself up for positivity. Just focus on the positive things as hard as it can be. This is the biggest and this should really be my only tip that I can give you is just focus on the positive. It's hard to do, but when you actually start letting your mind just focus on the positive things of what could happen, all the exciting opportunities that you can build for yourself, or the things that could come to you, the people you can meet, the places that you'll see, the things that you will experience, it is so exciting when you focus on those things. Your fears just start to wither away and you don't really pay attention, and suddenly you're really not caring that if your boss is going to be mean the first day or not. You just you're excited that this is a new chapter in your life. So always, always, always try to change your mindset to focus on the positive. Now, the step one that I like to say, or my first thing when you're going into entering a new chapter in your life, is try to, you can't plan everything that's going to happen, and you definitely can't, write your schedule of 9 to 5, exactly what's going to happen during your day or anything like that, but you can start to create a vision for yourself, and you can allow yourself to dream big within that vision. So the thing is, when you are going into a new chapter, it's exciting, it's new, maybe it's a big dream of yours, maybe you've been really waiting to do this for a long time, maybe you've been thinking about it for a long time. Well, let yourself create that vision in your head. This is really going to help you focus on the positive things about it when you're creating this vision in your head. And I mean, you got to be realistic, of course, but, you got to dream big. There's nothing wrong with dreaming big and creating that incredible vision inside of your head. And just remember, though, if you are going to dream big, you can't be afraid to fail big. I got that saying the other day, and I love it because it's so true. In order to dream big, you cannot be afraid of failing big, because it goes both ways. It's going to happen, and you are going to fail. I'm sorry, but you are. But you're going to pick yourself back up, and you're going to keep going. So think about how you want to feel, and then start adding those things that are going to make you feel that way. So when people think of like vision boards and creating that vision for yourself, often people just think of experiences and things that they want to do. So say your new chapter is moving to a new city, and you're like, okay, well, I want to check out all the touristy things. I want to have a house on the beach. I want to do this and do that. Okay, great. So those are, things that you want to do or you want to experience, which is awesome to know those things that you want to do. But try to think about the way that you want to feel every single day in this new chapter in your life. Do you want to, is this new chapter all about a new job? So maybe you want to feel in charge. Maybe you have a leader role and you want to feel like the leader and you want to feel in charge and confident and looked up to. Maybe that's the way you want to feel. Or maybe the new chapter in your life is, you just got married and you just want to feel valued and loved and appreciated and, all these different things. And so try to think about the way that you want to feel instead of the things that you want to experience or purchase or those, the materialistic things. When you can figure out the way that you want to feel every morning, it really helps in then adding those things that are going to make you feel that way. And I just think this is the perfect first step, is finding out how you want to feel, and then you add the things that are going to make you feel that way. And yeah, maybe that house on the beach is going to make you feel that way, or maybe, buying that car will make you feel that way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But always, always, always think about how you want to feel instead of the things that you want to do first. Because those things you want to do and the things you want to purchase and experience, those will come secondhand. The most important thing is being happy within yourself and feeling the way that you want to feel every single day. So always think about the way that you want to feel. All right, so that is my first tip in entering a new chapter into your life, facing that fear. I have lots more to share with you, but it is time for a little bit of a break again. So don't go anywhere. When I get back, I'm going to jump right back into how you can face going into a new chapter in your life with confidence and grace, because you got this. Okay, I will be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast. Okay, everybody, we are on the last stretch of today's episode, and we're talking all about facing your fear of entering that new chapter in your life, how you're going to do it. I got lots more information for you, so let's jump right back in. So, entering a new chapter, it's scary, but I talked about making sure you figure out the way that you want to feel before you start deciding the things that you want to do within this next chapter. It can be so many different things. It all depends on you. So start by doing some self-reflection, figuring out the way you want to feel, and then you can add the things that are going to make you feel that way. Now, my next step for you is creating healthy habits that align with this next chapter, or that can help better, like, that can better help you handle this new situation as well. So those habits might just be that you need these, like, new habits to get through this next chapter, to help you through this next chapter. These habits can also just help you kind of enter this next chapter maybe. So try to write these things down, reflect, track your progress with it all, like always. Identify something that you want to do on a regular basis, and then anchor it to something that you're already doing. This is the best way to create healthy habits in your life. So do something that you think of every single day, and just add that new healthy habit at that same time. So maybe you really want to start taking vitamins every single day, and you don't have that habit in your life. But every single day you do brush your teeth. So maybe now you're going to add taking your vitamins right after you brush your teeth every single day. Put them by your toothbrush in a little container or whatever it is, and then that's what you're going to do. This is the easiest way to add healthy habits into your life, or trying to make those things a habit. So also take into account, of course, that change is about to happen, like starting a new job in a different city. Like, so let's just say, let me give you another example here. Let's say that your health is really important to you. And let's say that you have a habit of going to the gym when you're done work. Okay, but this new chapter in your life consists of a new job. And within this new job, you have different hours. And going to the gym after work doesn't really work anymore. It doesn't really work with your schedule, because you want to make sure that you're going to bed at a good time still. So now you have to try to switch this habit, and maybe you want to start working out in the morning. So this is just like kind of a simple example of just adjusting maybe your healthy habits that you need to align yourself within this next chapter. It's not always about adding healthy habits. It might just be kind of moving them around and finding a different kind of schedule for things. I just find working out is the most perfect, simple example that you can do there. So try to think of the way that your life is going to be now within this next chapter, and if you have to move some of your healthy habits around. Now, my next piece of advice for you is be selfish in this new next chapter for yourself. Always prioritize yourself, and don't be afraid to say no. I talk a lot about saying yes. I think you should say yes to every opportunity, but you should also not be afraid of saying no. When you're entering a new chapter in your life and it is overwhelming already, you're already anxious, you're scared of doing these new things and having all this new exciting stuff going on, and then people are asking things of you, or, just more is getting added to your plate. Don't be afraid to say no. Especially when you're just starting this new chapter, you're just trying to get your bearings and your groundings, and you're just trying to figure out everything for yourself. There's nothing wrong with saying no to adding extra things on your plate, especially at first. So be selfish, prioritize yourself, and don't be afraid to say no. But with that being said, I also want to say, don't be afraid to ask for help either. Entering a new chapter in your life is extremely scary, and this is why we're talking about facing that fear, but don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not supposed to be easy. It's not going to be easy when you're entering a huge new chapter in your life. So you have your support system, your friends, your family, whoever it is, a mentor, whoever you like to go to. They are there to help you. They love you. They want to help you. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Just because you're starting a new job and maybe, it's this big fancy job and you're like, well, I shouldn't have to ask for help anymore. Everybody needs to ask for help at any point in their life. It is just, it's human, it's natural, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. So many people hold themselves back from asking for help because they don't want to look stupid or make it seem like they can't do it on their own. And it's not that you can't do it on your own. Sometimes we just need that extra support. We just need that help, and there's nothing wrong with that. So don't be afraid to say no, but don't be afraid to ask for help either, because people in your life want to help you. This is a new, exciting time for you, and your loved ones want to experience it with you and enjoy it with you as well. So don't be afraid to ask for help. You create 100% of your own reality. So facing this fear is exciting, it's new, and you're creating this path for yourself that you have chosen. This is what you're doing for yourself. You're entering this new chapter and you have chosen this path. How exciting is that? You are creating 100% of your own reality by saying yes to an opportunity or creating that opportunity for yourself. But it is scary. Even though you wanted this, it doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, that it's going to come so easy. So you have to remember to be kind to yourself. That is another one of my tips. Always, always, always show yourself kindness. Give yourself a break. You're not supposed to know or have all the answers in your life. it's exciting to be entering a new chapter, and it is scary, but it doesn't have to be all scary. Be kind to yourself. Treat yourself nice, because there's so many things that are going on and so many different adjustments and changes and environments. You're gonna fail, and you're gonna feel like you made a mistake sometimes, or why did I choose this path? Why did I choose this city or this job, or whatever the case is. You're going to have those doubts sometimes, but you have to remember to be kind to yourself. Show yourself some self-compassion, because everybody goes through these things and it'll get easier. Remember, confidence comes with experience. So as you continue to experience this new chapter, you're going to get more confident. You're going to feel better. So be kind and gentle to yourself within this process. This is your story, so you get to write it whichever way you would like. This is your chapter. You're doing it. No one else is writing it for you. You get to do it. It's your life. You're the one that is in control. Uncertainty feeds our fears, but we have to embrace the unknown in order to face this fear. You have to embrace this new chapter with full force. You have to let yourself write your own story, create your own opportunities. Be kind to yourself. You are creating 100% of your own reality, but just because you're creating it yourself, or just because you've chosen this path yourself, does not mean it's going to be easy. Like I said, uncertainty feeds our fears. But if we embrace that uncertainty, then we're kicking this fear in the ass. We don't need it. It's fine. We got this. We got a hold of it. So recognize that this is also just one chapter in your life. You're going to have to do this again probably. You're going to enter another chapter in your life, and another chapter in your life, and another chapter in your life. So recognize that this is just one chapter. If you enter this chapter and it's really not what you wanted or what you ever would have thought of, that's okay. There's going to be another chapter, because you're writing your own book. There can be as many chapters as you want. So recognize that this is just one chapter. You are the author. You get to write your next step. So focus on what you can control, instead of focusing on what you can't control. This is huge when you're entering a new chapter in your life, because there's going to be so much uncertainty, which drives our fears. But we often, we focus on that uncertainty and those fears and the things that we can't control. Like walking into a new workplace and having your coworkers be judgmental or not, like you don't know. They don't even know you at all. But that is completely out of your control. The opinions of others and the thoughts or things that others say is completely out of your control. So stop worrying about it. Because it's not about you. It's about them. And it's their problem. Your problem is you. So focus on you and what you control. You are writing your own story. Remember. And also always, always, always remember that failure is a stopover. It is not a destination, because you will fail. I've said that a few times in this episode, but you will fail. And I'm going to say it again and again and again, because in order to dream big, you cannot be afraid to fail big. And you will fail, but it's a stopover. It's not a destination. I promise you. I promise. So remember that failure is a stopover. It is not the end of it. That doesn't mean that this chapter is over. It doesn't mean that you failed and you made a mistake and nothing's ever going to work out again. It's just a stopover. It's just a little hiccup. It's a lesson to be learned. You're going to pick yourself back up, brush yourself off, and you're going to keep moving forward. That's what matters the most. Be ready for unexpected twists as well. That's my another tip for you. This could lead, these unexpected twists that are going to happen in this new chapter. Maybe it's something that you would have never have thought of, or never even have wanted, or thought that you would wanted, but it led you down the best path possible, and you just didn't know it yet. You didn't know that these things that you're going to experience out of it we're going to complete your life, make your life be some of the best experience you've ever had. So be prepared for unexpected twists and embrace them when it happens. Remember, embrace the unknown, embrace the uncertainty, embrace those unexpected twists that are going to be thrown at you, because that's what life is. Bunch of unexpected twists and curveballs and all these different things being thrown at us, and we're just trying to write our chapter. We're trying to write our story and kind of dodge everything and go through this obstacle course called life. But you are still the author of your own story. So just remember that, and just be ready for these unexpected twists and embrace them every single chance that you get. Now I'm going to also finish off with one quote that I found that I absolutely love. Today is never going to happen again. And that's my last piece of advice that I want to leave with you today. Today is never going to happen again. So if you are entering a new chapter in your life and you are scared, you are anxious, you are stressed out, you are maybe thinking that you made a bad decision, you're regretting it, you want to turn around, you don't want to do this, Today is never going to happen again. The time that you failed, today, say that you had all these anxieties and you feel like you failed, you already failed yourself before you even started, today will never happen again. But what's going to happen is tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And you need to remember that today happened, and maybe you failed, maybe you felt really anxious, maybe you felt unprepared, or felt like you were making a mistake, but that was today. And tomorrow you don't have to feel that way. Tomorrow you can start fresh and you can start over. It doesn't have to be a Monday to start over. It can be the next day. That's the best thing about life, is every single day is a new opportunity. And you can change your own mindset, and you can think positive, and you can go after all those things that you want to achieve. And I promise, it is so going to be worth it. So don't let yourself dwell on today, the anxieties, the worries that you fear, like any of these things that are happening, the time that you failed that happened today, whatever it was, let it go, because today will never happen again, but tomorrow will happen. Your future achievements are prepared for in the present moment. Let today just be the standard for your this moment right now. That's it. That's all it is. It's just the moment right now. Today is never going to happen again. Okay? Well, that is all of the information that I have for you today. I really hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Jo. Thank you for being here. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. It helps out a ton. Like and follow us on social media. I update those regularly, as you already know. And don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I love reading the reviews, and it helps out so much. So I hope today's episode motivated you to enter this new chapter in your life with a full force. I hope it motivated you to expose yourself to your fears and just to create your own reality, because you are the author of your own story. It's all on you. You got this. All right. Stay happy, stay positive, and remember that you are the author of your own story. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find the show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from sex and relationships to health and wellness, life and happiness, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts Life and Happiness Podcast.